Tadao Ando isn't just an architect, he's a visionary artist of space. His work transcends the simple idea of building structures, it reaches deep into the philosophical and spiritual teachings of Zen Buddhism to craft environments that resonate with both body and soul. When you step into one of his designs, you are not simply entering a building, you are walking into an experience, a conversation with the universe itself. And how did such a journey begin? Born in 1941 in the vibrant city of Osaka, Japan, Ando's path to architecture was anything but conventional. A boxer in his youth and a self-taught carpenter, Ando defied expectations at every turn, forging a unique career that has earned him worldwide recognition. From raw concrete to serene spaces filled with light, his architecture embodies a meditative quality that encourages reflection, self-awareness, and spiritual growth. Can you imagine? A man who began with no formal training, relying only on his instincts and passion, eventually became one of the most revered architects in the world. His designs are minimalist, yes, but there is nothing simple about them. They evoke powerful emotions, deep thoughts, and a sense of peace that only a true master of space could conjure. Ando's journey from boxing rings to drawing boards is not just an inspiring story of personal triumph, it's a testament to the human capacity for growth, transformation, and enlightenment. At the core of Ando's architectural philosophy is this idea that spaces are not merely shelters, they are opportunities for emotional and spiritual engagement. How many times have we walked through a building without thinking twice about its design? Ando challenges that indifference. He invites us, no, compels us, to stop, to pause, and to think. His designs are immersive, offering a sensory experience that is deeply intertwined with Zen philosophy. The interplay of light, space, and material in his work isn't accidental, it's deliberate, a reflection of his desire to create environments that resonate with the quiet, reflective nature of Buddhist thought. But let's delve deeper. What is it about Zen Buddhism that informs Ando's work so profoundly? Zen is a school of thought that emphasizes mindfulness, simplicity, and the intrinsic connection between the individual and the universe. It's about stripping away the unnecessary, letting go of distractions, and focusing on the essence of existence. In Zen, the concept of ma, the space between objects, holds great significance. It's not just emptiness, it's a space brimming with potential, a pause between moments that allows us to truly be in the present. Ando embraces this concept wholeheartedly, bringing it to life in his architectural designs. He doesn't fill his buildings with clutter, instead, he strips them down to their essential forms, allowing the spaces in between to breathe. And in doing so, he creates environments that feel expansive and open, inviting us to experience a sense of peace and mindfulness. Just imagine standing in one of his creations. The minimalist nature of his designs is so striking. It mirrors the Zen aesthetic, finding beauty in simplicity and imperfection. For Ando, the act of removing excess, whether it's material or decorative, reveals the essence of the building. His structures are often composed of clean lines, bare concrete, and open spaces. Yet somehow, these stark elements enrich the experience of being in them. How? Because they create room for you to engage, to think, to feel. In the same way that Zen meditation encourages practitioners to empty their minds and focus on the present moment, Ando's architecture encourages occupants to be fully present, to engage with the space around them in a mindful and contemplative manner. Now, let's take a closer look at one of his masterpieces, the Church of the Light in Ibaraki, Osaka. Completed in 1989, this simple rectangular structure made of raw concrete holds a profound spiritual power. Have you ever been in a space that takes your breath away? That's the effect this church has on those who enter. At first glance, it seems unassuming, bare walls, minimal decoration. But then, there's the light. The cross-shaped cut in the wall behind the altar allows light to pour into the space in the form of a radiant cross. It's such a simple design. Yet the impact is enormous. The way the light shifts and changes throughout the day, casting shadows and illuminating the room in different ways, creates a dynamic and ever-changing experience. It's like the building is alive, constantly evolving as the light moves across it. Isn't that the essence of Zen? The recognition that everything is in constant flux, that nothing is permanent? The play of light and shadow in the Church of the Light reflects this concept beautifully. It reminds us of the impermanence of all things, of the fleeting nature of time, and of our place within that ever-shifting cycle. You walk into the space, and suddenly, you're not just standing in a room, you're standing in a moment of spiritual clarity. The building, the light, the shadows, they all seem to be asking you to stop, to reflect, to think about your own existence. Isn't that what sacred spaces should do? And it's not just the church that embodies this philosophy. Ando's entire body of work reflects his deep connection to Zen principles. He challenges the traditional notion that sacred spaces must be grand and opulent. Instead, he creates spaces that are humble, austere, and yet deeply profound. Take the bare concrete walls of the Church of the Light, for example. There's no ornamentation, no color. Just raw, unadorned material. And yet, it feels sacred. Why? Because Ando understands that true beauty isn't found in superficial decoration, it's found in the essence of things. In the purity of form, in the way light interacts with space. In this way, his work aligns perfectly with Zen teachings, which emphasize stripping away the superficial to reach the truth. But let's talk about concrete for a moment. How does Ando take something as seemingly cold and industrial as concrete and turn it into a medium for spiritual expression? It might seem paradoxical, but Ando's use of concrete is nothing short of genius. In Zen Buddhism, there is a concept known as wabi-sabi, which celebrates the beauty of imperfection and the natural cycle of growth and decay. Ando's concrete walls, with their rough texture and occasional imperfections, reflect this philosophy. Rather than polishing or hiding the flaws in the material, Ando embraces them, allowing the concrete to age naturally and develop a patina over time. Can you picture that? A building that grows old gracefully, just like we do. There's something so beautiful and poignant about that, and it's not just the aging of the concrete that reflects this Zen concept, it's the material itself. The roughness of the concrete creates a tactile contrast with the soft, ethereal quality of the light that plays upon it. It's a tension between the physical and the spiritual, the material and the immaterial. Ando understands that these contrasts, these imperfections, are what make a space truly alive, truly meaningful. His architecture doesn't try to hide the reality of existence. It embraces it, celebrates it. In doing so, Ando transforms what could be a cold, lifeless material into something poetic and profound. Isn't that extraordinary? Let's take a moment to consider how Ando's use of concrete also reflects Zen's emphasis on craftsmanship and attention to detail. Each element of his buildings is carefully considered, nothing is left to chance. The seams of the concrete slabs are meticulously aligned, and the surfaces, though rough, are treated with a sense of reverence. This careful attention to the materiality of his buildings imbues them with a sense of quiet dignity and timelessness, qualities that are central to Buddhist thought. It's this level of care and precision that makes Ando's work so powerful. He's not just building structures, he's creating experiences, crafting spaces that speak to the soul. Ando's reverence for nature is another key aspect of his work, deeply rooted in Zen philosophy. Zen teaches that nature is not something separate from humanity but a reflection of the inner self. Ando takes this to heart in his designs, creating buildings that exist in harmony with their surroundings. Whether it's the way light filters through a window or how a building is positioned within a landscape, Ando's architecture always feels connected to the natural world. It's as if his buildings are part of the environment, not apart from it. Take, for example, his water temple, Hanpukuji, on Awaji Island. This structure is a brilliant example of how Ando integrates nature into his designs. As visitors approach the temple, they are greeted by a serene circular pool of water. But here's the genius part, visitors must descend beneath the water to reach the main hall. Can you imagine that journey? From light to darkness and back to light again. It's not just a physical descent, it's a spiritual one. The water becomes a symbol of purification, while the descent into the earth echoes the Buddhist concept of death and rebirth. As visitors emerge from the underground space back into the light, they are reminded of the cyclical nature of existence and the interconnectedness of all things. And isn't that what Ando's architecture is all about? It's about creating spaces that encourage us to reflect on our place in the universe, to think about the bigger picture. His buildings are not just places to inhabit, they are spaces for meditation, for contemplation, for spiritual growth. And isn't that something we all need more of in our busy, chaotic lives? Ando's work is more than just architecture, it's a form of spiritual practice. His minimalist designs offer a kind of architectural zazen, a space for meditation and reflection. By stripping away excess and focusing on the essential, Ando creates environments that encourage mindfulness and contemplation. His work invites occupants to slow down, to engage with the present moment, and to experience the subtle beauty of the world around them. In Zen Buddhism, the path to enlightenment is not found in grand gestures or external achievements but in the quiet, often unnoticed moments of everyday life. Ando's architecture reflects this philosophy. His buildings are not flashy or attention-grabbing. Instead, they are quiet, introspective spaces that reveal their beauty gradually, through the changing light, the texture of the materials, and the relationship to the surrounding environment. In this way, Ando's work becomes a kind of spiritual awakening, reminding us of the importance of mindfulness, simplicity, and the deep connection between the self and the universe.